distinguished guests, and fellow learners. Hi, I'm Olivia Odileke. I would like for you to participate in a little activity with me for a moment. I would like you to reflect on a time when you had to figure something out without any guidance or any help. I want you to think about a time when you were faced with a real life situation that demanded your curiosity. I want you to hold that memory in your mind. Just hold that memory in your mind. I want to share with you my moment. I was a middle school teacher, brand new, and I had all these bright minds in front of me. But there was one thing I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to spark their curiosity. I had went to school, I had attended plenty of professional developments, I was supposed to be prepared. But one thing was missing in my classroom: curiosity. So I stand before you today with a profound passion for unlocking the potential in every child. See, I believe in the words of Dan and Shep Heath that the piquing of curiosity is the holy grail of teaching. But as an instructional coach, I had observed hundreds and hundreds of classrooms and did not see this in many of the classrooms. You could look at the students and see that something was missing. You could also look at the teachers and see, like, I want to pique curiosity. But the challenge was, how do we do it? How do we do it? How do we do that? Well, I wanted to talk today about what I figured out on this journey. And one of the things is that if we don't get this one right, we're going to have a generation of students that lack creativity and lack critical thinking. So I want to take you somewhere. We're going to go to a math classroom. Everybody loves math, right? Well, just imagine yourself in an elementary math classroom, and your teacher tells you this: in groups of 3, I would like for you to look at this display and come up with 2 ways to write or draw the numbers in this display. Again, let me pose that. In groups of 3, you can write 2 ways or draw 2 ways of how to display the numbers in this display. You guys coming up with some answers? You got different ideas in your mind? Could you imagine a classroom where a teacher opens a lesson and allows you to think before they start giving you information? They allow you to bring in your perspectives and your thinking into the situation. And so students are now working together, coming out with different approaches to this problem. And as they come up with those different approaches, the teacher then calls different groups. You're hearing things that sound similar. You're hearing things that sound very creative. In the process, the teacher says, okay, you guys, after all of that, let's come together and let's come up with a concept. What is the concept? And as a group, as a community, you come up with the concept that, given a variety of different numbers, there are a variety of multiple operations that can lead you to a solution. In that moment, you look at math and numbers not as a static entity, but you look at it as a world of possibilities, because you were given the opportunity to examine something without being scrutinized. This, my friends, is the power of the quick inquiry task. It really is tied into the fact that teaching is supposed to be focused on piquing students' curiosity. And we don't do it enough. We don't do it enough. We are so mundane and routine, and we're focused so much on memorizing and getting people ready to work and get good jobs and make good money, right? And then they're computers. There's no thinking that's taking place. So we start doing these quick inquiry tasks. I started first with my students, and the impact was powerful because these strategies were not asking students for answers. They were asking them for their perspectives. They were asking them to think, and this took a little while because they were like, huh, what? You want us to do what? Just give us the answer later. We just came here to get the answer. No, I don't have the answer. We're going to come up with the answers together. We're going to explore. We're going to discover things together. And what we discovered is, first of all, this strategy didn't focus on going deep into a standard. That wasn't the purpose. The purpose was to give students a bridge, to help them understand complicated things, but to give them a doorway. So we're going to go on a little journey, and we're going to talk about the impact of these quick inquiry tasks. And we're going to talk about how they can make the quest of piquing curiosity in the classroom achievable, but at the same time transform the classroom. Because we don't need a lot of time to do it. And I'm going to tell you what the key components of it are. So you may be asking, well, Olivia, what is a quick inquiry task? You guys are very smart. Say, I'm smart. I'm smart. I didn't hear anybody say I'm smart. Okay, thank you very much. Well, first of all, the tasks are designed to be open-ended. We want to make it an open-ended task or question that allows a student to think about a concept before the teacher teaches it. So before we tell you this is the learning goal, this is what we're going to do, blah, 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 I'm already bored. We just give you the task and allow you to kind of start thinking about a concept, a pattern, a connection, a means to find joy and discovery. The second component is they're flexible. The reason we wanted to be flexible, so much content and curriculum does not give students, especially diverse students, access to the content. So we wanted to make these things flexible so that it takes into account your thinking process. Every student's thinking process is different. It's not the same for everyone. And so we need flexible tasks that allow different perspectives to come into the picture. And the third thing is they're engaging. They're designed to be out of the box. They are designed to be stimulating, to allow you opportunity to explore. Now, there are three critical reasons why they're so effective. The first thing is they make hard, tricky stuff that's hard to figure out, they make it easier. They help make things that are complicated seem more understandable. Secondly, most of them are super, super engaging to allow curious minds to flow. So we want to make them where they're interested. They relate to your students, or they allow your students' personality to come into the classroom. And then the third part is, at the end of the day, what are we really doing? What are we doing to our students? What are we doing to people? I just have to pause a minute because this is something I'm very passionate about. I'm in classrooms, I'm working with teachers, I'm looking at students, and it's like they're hungry. They are hungry for something, and we're not giving it to them. We're giving them standardized tests, and we're trying to prepare them for a life that many of them will not be happy in, because we haven't exposed them to discovering the world around them, asking questions that lead us to new places. The best way to picture an inquiry task is to think about a student being exposed to a dense forest of knowledge. It's dark out there. Knowledge, there's so much knowledge, you're afraid. But what if the inquiry task could be like that star shining, illuminating a path to allow you access so you don't feel so scared to learn something you've never learned before? That's what we're talking about today. So you're probably saying, Olivia, give me some examples, girl, I'm ready. I need to know what are some of these tasks? Well, great question. First, let's think about English language arts. I could ask my students Think of a time that you suspected someone was going to lie to you. How did you know they were lying? I can tie this to a text. I can tie this to students looking for clues when they're reading a book or if they're reading something. And I can feel that. They can tell me about a time they were lied to. I can use that as a teachable moment in the classroom about why we don't lie in the classroom, right? There's a lot of things we can do with that. Or in math, I could focus on giving them a task where they have to calculate the costs and the profits of selling video games. We talk about economics, baby, and something that can relate to them. Or I'm in science. I can talk about, give me 3 reasons why flowers have color. We thinking, we coming up with different ideas. That could lead to a discussion about pollination. And if we really want to be creative, I could go back to English language arts, and I could say, come up with a character who is able to defeat Black Adam. Think of his power and his characteristics, or her characteristics. We equal in here, right? We're equal in here. Then we get to infuse entertainment, we get to infuse English language arts, all in a fun and engaging way. See, there are so many different ways we can pique students' curiosity, but we just gotta step away from the mundane. We gotta step away from just memorizing things. You might be saying, well, why does this matter? Why does this matter? It matters because education is more than just memorizing facts and figures. The purpose of education is to install a love for learning in you. How many of you are going to school now and you love learning? Like you get up every day and you're like, I love this. I love learning math. I love learning. Oh my goodness, there's only a few of us out there who might feel that way. And if we do, it's because of what's motivated inside of us. So we gotta do something differently. Because creating minds that are critical thinkers and who are creative will be paramount to our future. It's not about competition. It's about us working together to come up with different solutions. And how many people in the real world work with people? You don't work in isolation. We work in projects. And is there always just one clear answer? No. There are multiple responses, and depending on what our background knowledge is and what information we have, when we come together, we come up with solutions. We got to start modeling that for our students to know that there is not one answer to everything. It's about who's the strongest, who's got the most creativity, who's doing the most critical thinking, and who can present that information in the most persuasive way. See, when we collaborate in the classroom, as a middle school math teacher, I saw quick inquiry tasks change the way my students responded to doing math. They came in initially with the fear of, I can never do math, Miss Odileke. I'm not good at math. My parents don't know how to do math. But the more we did these inquiry tasks, the more the inquiry tasks became an anchor to the learning. We were creating a community of curious people. We were having discussions, and you know the cool thing about it was, I was learning with them. We were explorers together. It wasn't just about me giving them information. And I would be like, Tony, you smart. You are very intelligent. You could one day probably make Bill Gates look like a midget in the streams of time. But see, we don't oftentimes get to see the true potential behind our students. And as I was learning from them, because I was learning from them, it just made our classrooms fun. We were excited to learn new concepts, and they were excited to see what would be the next inquiry task, and could they figure out what the concept was before another group did. And again, this goes back again. Why does this all matter? There can be no lifelong learning if we don't have curious students. And we need help. Educators need help in figuring out how to do this. Because the key thing I hear all the time, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time. One of the things about these tasks, the fact that we say they're quick, is they can be done in 5 to 8 minutes. They're designed to be done in 5 to 8 minutes. Why? For 2 purposes. The first purpose is we want to make sure they stay focused and utilize the time most effectively. The second purpose is that we want to give them time to reflect, to create, and to think. And by having that, we'll allow them to have a little structure, and you still have a little freedom, and you're still able to apply it to any subject. Because any teacher, I don't care what subject you teach, you can do a quick inquiry task. 5 to 8 minutes on the task, 7 minutes on the discussion, 2 minutes to make a summary. Because you got to summarize it. You got to be able to come up with the concept at the end of it. Now, sparking curiosity goes beyond the classroom. It can be messy. It can also be very uncomfortable. It's not pretty sometimes, but without a struggle, there can be no progress. We have to think about how are we making ourselves look a little messy, making ourselves a little uncomfortable. So at the end of the day, we're going to go back to this statement that the piquing of curiosity is the holy grail of teaching. It is the primary, it is the essence of learning. And I really hope that we can develop fearless educators who are ready to try new approaches, who are ready to go into their classrooms and to expose the minds of their students to explore, to discover. Because curiosity is missing. We need more opportunities for students to see their potential. And until they're allowed to think unguided and do more things out of the box, they may never know what that potential is. So I ask, as I close this chapter, that this be your daily affirmation. The affirmation that the piquing of curiosity is the essence of learning. And as we ignite the light to spark curiosity in our students, may this flame lead us to a brighter future.